G'day, folks. I'm Kaito.
And I'm Flex.
And we're reviewing Furiosa.
A Mad Max Saga.
Okay, let's go on to Furiosa.
All right, let's do it.
Whoops, it's the wrong Furiosa.
That's the wrong Furiosa.
Okay, there we go. The background, Furiosa. Furiosa.
What a wonderful day.
Furiosa is the prequel to Mad Max.
Fury Road.
Fury Road. Yeah, not the one with Mel Gibson. This is the one with Tom Hardy. They're all by George Miller, though, which I didn't know, but you said even the Mel Gibson one is by George Miller.
They're all by George Miller.
They're all by George
As
Miller.
is Babe and Babe 2, A Pig in the City.
This is his thing.
This is his thing. Pigs and wastelands.
So Furiosa is a origin story of Charlize Theron's character Furiosa from the film, and you
get her entire life.
Yes, you get her entire life up until the events of the film.
Yes.
So
this is a prequel.
A child to
all the way to the beginning of Fury Road.
Yes. And it is done in the style of Mad Max completely. So it is very much just another chapter in this universe with the same sort of characters and vibe and environment and whatnot. And I really, really enjoyed this film.
I freaking loved this movie. And this is the most hyped movie for me this year. Mm-hmm. It's Furiosa and Deadpool 3. And I went into this with the highest of expectations. Those expectations were blown the heck away. Yeah. And I couldn't be happier with the movie we got to see.
It is so incredibly... So, obviously, I've only seen Mad Max Fury Road with Tom Hardy.
You've also seen Mad Max 1 and 2.
Did I?
Yes. They're kind of forgettable. 2 is good because it had the gyrocopter. Yeah. Remember the gyrocopter guy?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
But...
They're not
as stylized as Fury Road.
Right. I would say George Miller is like wine, although I don't really like wine, but he's gotten better with age.
Yes.
Everything he's done seems to just elevate itself over the previous thing. And this is no exception. I would say Fury Road, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, this is an elevated take on the storytelling element.
Yes.
Of Fury Road. This is a far more story-oriented movie.
Because you get a lot more of the environment. So Fury Road wasn't very big on explaining the world. It kind of just existed.
It's a show, no tell.
Right. It was like Star Wars in that way. It was just a pre-existing post-apocalyptic scenario in Australia that just covers this group. It covers Immortan Joe and then Gastown and Bullet Farm, which you find out more about how these three, and then the Citadel, how these three big areas work in Furiosa.
You get a lot of politics in this movie, which I was not expecting, and I loved it.
But it's in a way that makes sense for these characters. Yes. Because everything in this film that exists, that you see, all the costumes, all the cars, the way that they work, the war boys, there's not really a lot of explanation and background as to how they necessarily came to be. It is as if you're walking into something and then you have this pre-existing, religion and these groups and these cults and these beliefs and the leaders and whatnot. But I really like that because I like the weirdness of it. Mm-hmm.
It is wacky.
Yes.
And grounded simultaneously.
Right.
Nothing about this movie, and I like the Star Wars analogy, because in Star Wars, they have lightsabers. It doesn't really make sense how the lightsabers work.
They don't really explain it to you.
But it's fine.
Part of the world.
And everyone accepts it and understands it, and you, the viewer, can follow along. This movie does the same thing, and it further grounds Fury Road. Yeah. I think all of the storytelling that's done about the two primary characters in this movie, who are Furiosa and Dementus. Who is played by Chris Hemsworth, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
The storytelling between these two characters and everyone around them is so, again, show, don't tell. Mm-hmm. But the way that they show explains so much, and I love it. I love this world. I love everything about how everything works, and just, I love this movie.
Yeah, it was really funny too.
He's very funny.
So, speaking a little bit about the characters, Anna Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth were knocked out. The whole entire cast was great, but they are the
not
top
a bad
billing.
Actor in the
They're
whole movie.
the ones that have the shared title space here.
The spotlight.
But Chris Hemsworth really, really stole the show just because this was such a different character of his.
Yes.
Also, this is our second time we're doing this review because the first time I did it, I felt low energy and I didn't feel like I was bringing enough pizzazz to it.
It was all flex, no kite.
He was really excited about, but I said, it was a good movie. I liked it. What can I say?
What can you say?
And then I said that we should redo that because I don't want to put a low energy thing out and then have someone... You can't give a glowing review for something and then also have it be low energy.
I think it's because we filmed the If review right before, and we expended all of our energy in rage on If.
We filmed a review for If, which, if you noticed, we're wearing the same clothes. We're going to be wearing the same clothes for like the next 6 reviews.
Get ready. You're going to see a lot of this shirt.
We're just doing all our reviews in once. But Chris Hemsworth was so good in this film.
This is the best I've ever seen him.
First, he was using this ridiculous accent.
Which is his father's accent, apparently. He said in an interview, he didn't use his real Australian accent.
No.
He borrowed his father's accent and was channeling his dad.
It was very like, a succulent Chinese meal.
It was over the top in the best way.
Good day, sir. Get your hands off my...
I don't think that guy was Australian.
Yeah, he was New Zealand.
Was he?
He was. That was Australian.
Was he?
Yeah, because they were
New Zealand and Australia are not the same.
They're like, all right, get in the car. No, he was Australian.
Hop in the car. Get some cups. For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
That is exactly, he was channeling that guy. If you know the clip, I will post a clip. That is what Chris Hemsworth was channeling. But he was so good. And so he's the villain in this film.
Dementus.
Dr. Dementus. He's the villain, but he is one of those unassuming, charismatic, evil villains that you really like watching him because he was so good. So for me, while I thought Anna Taylor-Joy did a great job, it's clear that he was really hamming it up for this movie, and he crushed it. If you want to go see this movie, you will not be disappointed at all with his performance.
It's so apparent because the first 45 minutes of the movie don't have Anna Taylor-Joy.
No.
It's a little girl from the trailer you've seen playing Furiosa, and they do a really cool thing where they half change her face as she gets older to look more like Anna Taylor-Joy. But Chris Hemsworth is in this movie the entire time.
Yeah.
I would argue he is the actual main character of the movie.
Yeah.
And he's such a good villain. I think it's very easy to have a villain that is just a villain.
Right.
It is very difficult to make a lovable villain. And that's exactly what he is. He is warped in the mind. He is funny. He believes his own crap. Like, that's what's so great about him is he believes his own crap. And so does everyone around him because he's so charismatic. I think it'd be very easy to just be goofy and to have this character and it'd be funny. But it's something entirely different to be goofy and still hateable.
Right.
And he just teeters that line so well. I think this is the best he's ever been. And I love Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. And he was wearing a prosthetic and he has fake teeth for this film too. So there's just different layers to make him seem a little bit more, unrecognizable. Because you look at him here and you're like, he's just
That's a good-looking dude.
Good-looking guy.
That's a good-looking dude.
They really uglied him up for the movie. But it works so well, and it's kind of refreshing to see a guy who usually gets typecast we only know him as, Thor? And he's kind of just played this dopey... He's gotten stupider as the Marvel Universe expanded. But he's so goofy in this film, but it's not in a stupid way. So this whole universe is, I don't know how many years it's supposed to take place after the destruction of mankind or whatnot.
It definitely, it's a generation away. Because there's a character in the movie who talks about his parents fighting in a war.
Right. They were
when he was a child.
So
he's a generation away.
Removed.
Yeah.
But you see all these little artifacts from they're scavenged. It's these communities are scavenging. They've taken things they've found and they've put them together. And just there's so many. I would have loved to have a book where I could visually look at the costumes and the outfits, because there's just so many little details. Like his cape was a repurposed parachute. And it's just such an interesting thing. And you like, oh, he's walking around with like what looks like a trash bag. But everything works for this. And to know that George Miller designed all of the doodads. The
doohickeys, as he calls them.
The doohickeys.
He loves doohickeys.
That all of the costumes and outfits, it's so outrageous. It really does feel like a completely unique fantasy universe. And that's what it just visually, there's so much going on. One of the characters, they don't have a photo of him here, but he had like nipple rings, and he kept like rubbing his nipple rings, and he was just falling out of his shoe and whatnot. And it's just, none of it's explained. He's just doing it.
Yeah.
And it's normal. No one around him is reacting in an odd way. Everything is just so weird and bizarre. I mean, look at this design. Look at the design here. And it's not explained what this is.
Like, why does, like, if you look at Immortan Joe's chess piece, and this is true in Fury Road as well, it's like, it looks like it's got liquid at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, it's half full of liquid.
And it looks like it's kind of coming out with liquid. Like, and so here's the nipple guy, and you can see he's even doing it right here. But he's just grabbing onto them the entirety of the movie.
Do you remember in Fury Road, he is the Baron of Oiltown?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's just, so, you know, a lot of, I was reading, I love this movie so much. So I went on a binge just reading about what George Miller was doing, seeing other people's comments. And I got a little frustrated because I adored this movie. And I love Fury Road. Fury Road's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. This is not worse than Fury Road. This is not the same as Fury Road. This is not better than Fury Road. This is a totally different movie. And it stands on its own because it's trying to do something different. It's trying to tell a bigger, expanded story with more characters and more world building and more dialogue.
It's just like a chapter to a book.
Yes.
It is. This completes the story.
It does. It enhances Fury Road. If you watch this and then watch Fury Road after, you will have a better appreciation of what's going on in Fury Road than if you just watched it by itself.
Yes.
It's perfect world building, start to finish.
Especially because this film takes you to the events all the way up until, and then it really blends it together in a really, really cool way. But it was just such a really, it was such a good movie because it had all the style of Fury Road with more
substance.
Story. Right.
It's
because
same
Fury
style,
Road
more
was,
substance.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the whole War Boys stuff, and you see things in here. Like, I loved the War Boys.
Every time they get witnessed.
They huff, witness me. And so you get to see all of that. And it was really, really fast-paced, fun. It was over 2 hours. We walked
2 hours and 30 minutes.
It did not feel like it because I could have just kept watching. I could have kept watching it because it was just that
I was so happy to see he's doing another movie called Wasteland, which is going to focus on what Mad Max is up to during this time. It's like, I just want more. I don't care if it's before, during, or after. I want more of this world. And I want another video game because the video game is also great. And it's sad that it's so forgotten amongst the properties.
Yeah, it really does feel like, it feels like a video game though, with all of the mismatched armor and whatnot. And just how visually impressive it is.
I do want to say, so one thing, I did have a complaint about the movie early on that was resolved by the end, which is the music. Throughout the movie, there's this dong, 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 and it's kind of like an engine idling.
Yeah.
And clever to make like an engine idling sound as your sort of baseline throughout the movie. And it's very quiet in the beginning. I'm like, man, I kind of missed the bombastic Fury Road music. But then as Furiosa becomes more capable, more instruments get added into the soundtrack. And what a cool idea.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about in Monkey Man, how the camera being so close, it came out further as the movie went on. And that's a really cool idea. This does the same thing with music, and I love it. I love when parts of movies take on characters of their own. And the music was just, it gets you into it and it gets you going the best way.
Yeah, it was very, very, it was kind of surprising for me. I knew I was going to like it because I liked Fury Road, but I wasn't necessarily like hyped for it. But start to finish, this film was extremely...
How would you rate Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga?
Well, I do need to rate it. I do want to contribute to this. I think this should be a little higher even.
I think so too.
Just because it was so well done.
I love this movie. And I know
you said that people were complaining that Alan wasn't as good as Fury Road.
It's like, I liked it, but it's not as good as Fury Road.
And
not everything needs to be compared.
No, and that doesn't make sense to me because it is so incredibly... First of all, it's by the same writer-director. It might be different. That might be valid if it wasn't. But it is literally his vision. This is the background for that character. I don't know how someone can, make that weird comparison.
This is the movie he wanted to make.
Yeah.
He even said, I wanted to do something that was bigger and more story-oriented. And he did it. And he did it very well.
No, it was really, really fun. It was very funny, too. I wasn't expecting, because Fury Road was funny.
It is funny.
In its ridiculousness.
Yes.
The war boys in themselves are funny. The way that they speak is funny. The language, because the language is very... It's sort of like they're forgetting certain things.
Right.
And they don't really know what certain words mean, and that the way that they speak, or they speak in this overly kind of Shakespearean way sometimes that doesn't, necessarily make sense for the moment. But it was just such an enjoyable film. Really, really have to recommend this one. And yeah.
I can't wait to watch it again.
Go see it. Yeah, I will absolutely watch this again. I just want to look at it because it's just visually stunning.
It makes me so happy that things like this still get made. Because I think a lot of action movies, and this is not a slight to John Wick, but John Wick is action start to finish.
Yeah.
Fury Road is action start to finish. And I think we've lost kind of the Star Wars action, which is there is action in the movie, but there's also storytelling and world building. And those are few and far between. Even Godzilla X Kong, which we were very big on, there's nothing to that movie beyond two giant things smacking into each other.
Yeah.
Where this has really great action moments.
Yep.
And everything around it is just as interesting. And that's hard to do.
Yeah. No, it was just so well done. Definitely going to be one of my favorite movies of this year.
By
for
far.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll definitely watch it again. And yeah.
Can't wait for Wasteland.
Can't wait. Holy Wasteland? All right, witness me.
Witness me!
All right, guys. We'll see you until next review. Bye.
Bye.
That was best.